canoes poke out from wooden docks. The canoe club in the center of Cranford rents canoes by the hour for the meandering ride up the river. This river, in this town where my parents raised 2 daughters, is where we will scatter my mother and father's ashes. We lost my father in small bits. His sharp wit, his political opinions, and his sarcastic jibes had been fading with several small strokes. He would forget what he had for breakfast, or that he had to shave, but then he remembered full quotes from Shakespeare. When he hurt his shoulder after a fall, we had no idea it would turn into his final hospital stay. At 90 years old, he went downhill quickly once he was in the hospital, and finally congestive heart failure claimed him. My father's last words to me were, "Be careful." As far as I know, those were his first to me, too. His fear for my safety was one of the only ways he knew to express his love. All through my childhood and into my adulthood, he would read me the newspaper accounts of tragedies befalling people out of the blue. "Listen to this," he'd start. This little boy and his mother were walking along Elmora Avenue, probably going to Goodman's Deli, when a piece of scaffolding fell right off a building and killed the kid, just walking along. "You have to be so careful, Judy." Or, after I got my driver's license, "This car was just traveling along, minding his own business, when a tractor-trailer cut him off and sent him head-first over the rail." I would nod and tell him I'd be careful. By the time I was an adolescent, I saw it as my sacred duty to prove the world was a safer place than my parents believed, that I could take risks and survive. He always had 1 or 2 books he was reading at a time, and would tell me about them, give them to me after he read them. When he narrowed down to a book at a time, it should have been a clue to us that things were changing. But his sense of humor never left him, right up until the end. "If you lose your sense of humor, what's left?" he'd say. "Your health?" My dad's honesty was legendary. I remember 4 solid gold bars were delivered to his jewelry store from the government by mistake. We conjectured as a family how we could melt them down and make bracelets out of them, but Dad was deadly serious about finding a way to quickly return them. He always put the needs of his wife and girls first. I never saw him indulge himself in a single whim or purchase of fancy. No boat to play with, no nights out with the boys. My mother had to goad him into buying a new suit when he needed one. But demonstrating any affection, physically or verbally, came hard to him. He was reticent with his compliments, particularly with me. Mom pushed him to say and do things she saw I needed from him. "Tell your daughter how nice she looks for the prom. Give her a hug before she leaves. You make the call. She likes to hear from you." He loved us, but he thought we should just know it. "If you don't know it, I can't tell you," he'd say. It made some kind of sense that I was designated as the bad guy to my father in his last years. I was the one who had to take away his car keys when he was 87, and my mother confided that he would go out and come back hours later, after being lost on his way to the grocery store. I was the heavy, too, to decide that they could no longer live by themselves in their apartment. My sister Linda couldn't break away from thinking of my father as her knight, the one who made her feel like she could do anything she set her mind to. I had experienced a different side of my father growing up. His code with me was that I was the daughter who was blessed, who didn't need his praise. In the hospital days before he died, he looked at me, pleading for an answer. "Why am I going through this? I've been a good man. I would give my right arm for my kids. Why is this happening to me?" I wished then that I had an answer for him that would ease his fears, but he was beyond any of the religious platitudes that gave some people comfort. To him, this was his punishment. Toward the end, I